Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new issue of Warhammer 40k Imperium magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, drop a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys and it goes an absolute massive way to help the channel too. Now, this week we are on issue 24 of Imperium magazine, and it is a paint issue, so the value is not 100% in the magazine. In all honesty, it is about the kind of extras that you're getting with the magazine that kind of gives it its most value. So with this magazine we're going to get some lore, but we get our two paints. So we get Rakar Flesh, half decent. I must admit, I'm still going through my pot from Mortal Realms magazine, which has been used probably 3 or 4 times. And more importantly though, we get Nuln Oil. Nuln Oil is very handy, especially for metallic work and darkening down things. Because it's not a gloss, it will reduce the sheen and the shine from metallics, but it does give it that kind of oily, kind of older look behind it, so it can work very well in a lot of circumstances, especially over kind of silver metals. It darkens them down quite well and you can get a really nice look out of them as well. So pretty cool. Now, into the issue itself, we are greeted by the Adeptus Mechanicus weapons and war gear naming system for your background. So, of course, the Adeptus Mechanicus are devoted to fabricating and maintaining the Imperium's weapons and technology. Their armed forces are equipped with some of the finest weapons and war gear known to mankind. These lethal relics are works of art, named and revered by those who wield them. So, naming your gear is quite a common theme throughout this magazine, in all honesty, and kind of multiplying and morphing it to you and being a bit more unique per person, instead of just having generally ranks upon ranks of faceless, nameless units. You get to name yours and have a little bit of fun with it at the same time. So, it is a D33, so you'll be rolling 2 dice and just adding them together, essentially. And yeah, quite fun. So, for instance, your war gear names generator table here, you could have things like Martian kinetic transmorpher. You could have a solar shield. You could even have blessed divinator, for instance, as part of your war gear. And you can also name other bits and pieces on the other page as well. So you can have the ranged weapons, so for instance such as your pistols. So you could have a phosphoric obliterator, you could have magna incinerator, or if you really want something fun, you could have just Martian pistol, something a little bit different and a little bit kind of dull. That one is in all honesty, but it's fun to have something a little bit dull every now and again, something that sounds not quite so unique and spectacular. You can also name the melee weapons as well, so some of your Mechanicus will have melee weapons, which are essentially these clubs in a lot of ways. So you could have, for instance, an electrostatic blade. You could even have the Olympian cudgel, for instance, or even Noctis Destructus, which just sounds weird, doesn't it really? But quite a bit of fun, and it adds a unique flavour to your armies, especially if you're expanding them as well, so because you can carry on using those to carry on naming bits and pieces. You will just need to have data sheets for each one, and a sheet for knowing which unit is carrying which item. Moving on though, we have a Necron Degradations and Grudges page. Again, continuing the background, so we have before. So of course, many Necrons have insane hatred. So the majority of Necrons have suffered severe engrammatic degradation since their biotransference. Many have developed a lasting hatred for a particular foe, usually as a result of a lingering memory of a lost battle or a perceived insult. Necron commanders have been known to abandon battle plans and disobey orders in order to satisfy their own desire for vengeance. So, Necron's not always 100% with the program for a lot of their battles. So, for instance, you could have your Necrons could be seeking vengeance against, say, the Battle Sisters. You could even have desires to atomize the Skitari, or even obsessed with destroying Adeptus Mechanicus. So, different bits and pieces, and will play out in very different ways and kind of unique ways for your games in the long run, with all the rules that will get explained much later on, I'm guessing. On the other page, though, you can have the noble engrammatic degradations. So many Necron nobles have spent eons locked in stasis. During the passing millennia, their personality engrams have become warped, twisted, and degraded. Many have developed some form of madness or obsession. So, for instance, they could have duels enemy heroes, they could be suffering from hallucinations, they could even be consumed by rage. And then, of course, there are the physical degradations and losses. So most Necron units have slumbered for millions of years only to wake and be forced to fight ceaseless campaigns. Despite the best efforts of their Tomb World's Canoptek constructs, many have suffered physical damage and losses. So their physical degradations can include things like burned by acid, they could be crushed by an enemy vehicle, or they can even have armour perforated by an explosion, for instance. So, loads of little bits and pieces to add to your Necron army as well. Really, really good stuff, and quite handy as well, because it gives it more of a unique appeal to you, and you personally. Then we have information and lore about the Tyranids. So, of course, the Tyranids are alien in the truest sense of the word. They are motivated not by the pursuit of conquest or dominion over the galaxy, but the urge to devour and survive. When their hive fleets descend, entire star systems are stripped of their nutrients and left as little more than barren, poisonous husks. So the Tyranids, of course, are the truest alien kind of enemy and combatant that you are going to experience in any game of 40k. They're quite unique in a lot of ways, and they have that hive mind mentality, and they are pure destruction, incarcerated really. So they will literally try to devour anything and everything in front of them, and we get a little bit of information about them. So they are feeder organisms, biomonstrosities, and much more, and they are invasion swarms as well. So to compare them with other kind of creatures from different kind of universes, for instance, in Halo they would be like the Flood, or if you wanted to go for film franchises, like the Xenomorph aliens, they are there to kind of reproduce and destroy and eat and feed, and yeah, that's about it really. So really, really cool, but quite a bit of fun as well. It's always really good to see. Then we have our how to paint guide. So this is how to utilise your 2 new paints. So we have ultramarine details. So for instance, the purity seals, which are the little tags that are on many of your Space Marines, which are designed to kind of purify and symbolise their heroic deeds and much more, and kind of sanctify them against chaos in a lot of ways as well. So if you paint the parchment up with Rakkar Flesh, bit of Agrak Surfshade and ran Rakkar Flesh over the top, it will sit very nicely and it will look half decent. If you use another layer of Rakkar Flesh, you can get a lot more detail out of it. And if you wish to, you can try to write script over it. If you are going to use it, use some watered down Abaddon Black and it actually can work quite well. However, you need a very, very fine tip on your paintbrush. So the brush that you got with a magazine, in all honesty, is not going to kind of cut the mustard. You can get packs of brushes online. You can get cheap ones if you want to spend cheap, or you can get really, really expensive ones like the Artist Opus ones. Entirely up to you. But you can get some fantastic ones no matter the price range you're looking for. On to the next bit of it, of course, we're carrying on about using your Rakkar Flesh, so this is for things like your robes and other kind of areas of your Space Marines. Using your Nuln Oil over blades, which gives it a kind of a darkened look and can be very, very handy. So it makes a metallic stand out and gives that darkening to recesses in certain areas as well, and you can use it over other colours other than just the metallics, and it will change the look of it as well over time. So pretty handy to have and can work very, very well, including going in between certain armour, so you can use it over things like fingers and stuff like that if you wanted to. Entirely up to you how you want to use it, but you can do stuff like that, which is pretty good. You can even use it over things like your robes for like the Librarian in Phobos armor, for instance, and then go back over it with the colour that it was base coated as before, just going over the main part and not into recesses, and it will give you a lot of shading, which is designed for Nuln Oil really. So really good. You can improve the look of your minis, and you'll get some really good results out of it, I'm sure. Moving on though, we get the tutorial. So this is all about your objectives and victory points. So of course the game revolves around having victory points and recording your victory points and making sure that you carry objectives as well in many games. So depending on the type of game you're playing, you may only have the option for capturing objectives, or you could have just scoring victory points by killing your opponent. So it depends on if it's what kind of playthrough it is, in all honesty. But you can have many different ways of doing it. Really good. So you have your control objectives, you have your scoring victory points, and then some advanced rules depending on the missions types that you may have, and yeah, pretty fun. So entirely up to you, but it's really good stuff to go through, and then you can kind of design about how to plan your own games as well. Then we have a Scout Mission Pack. So Sipos, or Sifos, I don't know how do you say it, is the third moon of the gas giant Glanthia. Probably said that very wrong, in all honesty. In the military heart of the Ramesus system, should I say, beset on all sides by Necron invaders, a combined force of Ultramarines and Adeptus Mechanicus are all that stands between the invading Xenos and the complete destruction of the key shipyards, weapons platforms and communication centres. So this is all about giving you objectives and missions depending on which part of the galaxy you're in. So you have your 3 different factions listed there, and then we have rules, so depending on what you're doing and how to go through it. So you have your playthrough as well over here, so it's all about cipher recovery, and yeah, quite fun. So you center your battlefield, you're on your large battle mat from a couple of issues ago, and it's all about securing that cipher as well. Really good stuff and quite fun. I'm sure most people will enjoy it. I haven't had a chance to play it myself, but I do like the look of it, so it could be quite good fun, and it's all about kind of giving you a bit more kind of detail of how to kind of have a narrative campaign overall instead of just individual battles. Right, next week we get Necron Immortals. I'm looking forward to getting them, must admit, really looking forward to it. You can build them into the death marks if you wish to. However, from the original image that shows the whole collection, we should be getting death marks at some point anyway, so it might not be worth doing. Entirely up to you though, it is always your choice because they are your minis. Issue 26 we get the Tech Priest Dominus as well, really cool, and we'll get a load more information to do with them, as well as their history, lore and tutorial pages as well, which will be quite fun. And then from there we'll get some really cool bits, and we've got more scenery coming up later on, much later on. Now, if 40k is not your bag and you're not kind of a 40k person, there is going to be a new magazine coming in very near future. The trial started today apparently. I've not been able to find out where the trial has started, but it has started in the UK, for the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. So the trial will literally last for the next 5 weeks. So issue 1 should be available in some areas today and will last for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks time issue 2 will come out, then issue 3, then issue 4, then it will disappear for a while. Do not worry about it if you are not able to find it. It will reappear in a few months time, just like Imperium did, just like Mortal Realms did, and just like Conquest did originally as well. But if you are into your Age of Sigmar, it should be a really cool collection. There's loads of really goodies, and you can check out the video that I did for it last night in the link at the end page here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye now.